The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke.
Glory to you, O Lord.
The Lord said, "Woe to you who build the memorials of the prophets whom your fathers killed. Consequently, you bear witness and give consent to the deeds of your ancestors, for they killed them, and you do the building." Therefore, the wisdom of God said, "I will send to them prophets and apostles. Some of them they will kill and persecute, in order that this generation might be charged with the blood of all the prophets, shed since the foundation of the world, from the blood of Abel to the blood of Zechariah, who died between the altar and the temple building. Yes, I tell you, this generation will be charged with their blood. Woe to you, scholars of the law! You have taken away the key of knowledge, and you yourselves did not enter, and you stopped those trying to enter." When Jesus left, the scribes and Pharisees began to act with hostility towards him and to interrogate him about many things, for they were plotting to catch him at something he might say. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
The last couple of days we've been listening to all those woe to you of the Lord Jesus. And as I indicated yesterday, those harsh words are meant not to create the hostility, but to stir conscience. To stir the conscience of those who have become so self-righteous as to continually look down their noses at everybody else who doesn't quite measure up to it. And the heart of this was the observance of those minuscule observances of the law, norms of the law of Moses, which the Pharisees, scribes, and doctors of the law had elaborated to the development of more than 637 commandments and their corollaries, which was impossible for a population which was mostly illiterate and uneducated, a population for whom it was impossible to observe those commandments. And so, Jesus speaks harshly to stir their consciences and their hearts, but they are hardened in their conceit, in their arrogance. It is kind of like a warning bell to each one of us to see whether we are indeed stumbling blocks for others coming to believe, or if we are instruments of that grace which leads to faith and to salvation. In the letter to the Romans, Paul is addressing a community that is composed of both Jewish and pagan converts. And of course, factions and sense of specialness develops among those who came from the Jewish tradition of the observance of law, who oftentimes insisted that the pagan converts observe those norms. And hence the emphasis of Paul on faith. It isn't the works of the law, it isn't the observance of all these external norms that make you holy, that justify you and save you. It is faith in Jesus Christ. And whether you are Jew or Greek, that is, Jew or convert to Christianity, you are standing in the same footing. You have the same chance for salvation through faith. And that should lead you to living your life in such a fashion that it will lead others to come to that faith, to be intrigued by it. I was just hearing this morning this brief anecdote about Edith Stein. And Edith Stein, as you may or may not know, and I really encourage you to read her life story, was a Jewish woman, highly intellectual and intelligent, who had pretty much abandoned the faith of our ancestors and had become, if not an outright atheist and agnostic, and had not much sympathy for faith or religion. But the Lord somehow, through that gift of her intellectual curiosity, gradually led her to faith. And one particularly interesting story about Edith Stein is that out of curiosity, to see what it was all about, what all this ruckus was about, she went to a Catholic church to check it out. Again, out of intellectual curiosity more than faith or the desire to pray or to contemplate. None of that was in her interest. But while she was sitting there looking around at all the artwork and all of the things, just think of somebody who has no faith coming into our church with this beautiful art and everything in it. They'll be caught up by it. But it has nothing to do with faith. They will not understand the significance of these Old Testament, New Testament images on either side of the walls. They will not understand the stations of the cross or the altar and the tabernacle. They will have no concept of it. Just the beauty. But beauty can lead to faith, and simplicity can inspire. And that's what happened to Edith. The beginning of her journey to the Catholic faith, to conversion, to religious life, and to sainthood started with one ordinary housewife, loaded down with groceries, who, rather than just pass by the church, came in to visit the Blessed Sacrament. And it was this casual, normal, everyday thing for a woman of faith who probably never knew or discovered what her silent, humble, ordinary testimony had achieved. A new saint in the church. A woman who would be martyred for that faith in the concentration camps. It was this simple act of adoration in the midst of a busy life that inspired Edith. It reminds us that ultimately our own faith, not extraordinary works, but the expressions of that faith in the ordinary, everyday life that can move others to faith. And that despite, yes, persecution, suffering, misunderstanding, we can persevere by God's grace and be quiet, unremarkable, but nevertheless significant witnesses to Christ. May the Lord help us to realize this faith in the ordinary of our life. And may we, through that testimony of a simple, ordinary life of holiness, inspire others to come to seek Jesus and to know him.